Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv after a weekend in the Riv. And CJ, on Mondays always, let's look at CJ's weekend flush. And as usual, you covered quite a bit of ground. But I think that the two big things is, well, first let me hit one of my favorite topics, your little thing about the tourism and the Lizzie Borden bullshit. um, these people just never get tired of either lying or telling half truths and holding out these pie in the sky cures to all the problems. Just shut up, let us tax you to death, and we're going to fix the problem with the commuter rail, which we'll get to later, with the train, which is a debauchery. Uh, and now you had your little flush that Linda and our tourism directors, Fall River, the future is tourism. Well, I hate to tell you this, Linda, you've been around almost as long as we have. They've been pushing tourism for the last 40 years. You know, I hate it when politicians lie all the time, but that's what they do best. Mislead, they don't really address problems. They hold out false hope to people. Let me see. The battleship's going to be a giant tourist attraction. Oh, the HMS Bounty's coming. Oh, the rail, the MBTA's coming. Oh, this is coming. That's coming. And Lizzie Borden. And by the way, CJ, congratulations on your little pun. Let's have an exciting weekend. That was a nice little turn of the phrase here. But listen, tourism doesn't cure problems. Good government, it concentrates on the people who live in their community, fix problems. I don't care how good your tourism is, and we're never going to have great tourism. Tourism's never going to be the answer. They've made 2 or 3 movies on Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Borden's been around since the 1800s. What are they going to do? Put 10,000 people in the Lizzie Borden house? What has it got? I don't know how many bedrooms it's got, but they can't handle a lot of tourists, number one. Secondly, we're between Newport and Cape Cod, the 2 largest tourist attractions in southeastern New England. Okay? So when people come, they're not going to stop in Fall River and stay for any length of time or even stop in Fall River. We've beat this horse to death 1,000 times. I know that the tourism director wants to try to justify her salary, but look, don't lie to the people. All these people ever do is lie on all levels. They just continue to give you these stories about how everything is going to be cured with tourism, with the MBTA. And let's look at the facts. Miami, Florida had still has, and has had for decades upon decades upon decades, one of the largest tourist, it's been one of the largest tourist meccas in the eastern United States. And did that help Miami? No. Miami was a shithole when you got off Collins Avenue and the tourist areas. Miami was full of crime. Miami was full of a lot of things, very little of which was good. Why? Because the politicians blew the money on themselves and their friends. They did not care about the people. That's changed to a degree. I haven't checked on it lately, but they got mayor, I believe his name was Suarez, who turned Miami around because he focused the money they were making from the tourism on helping the people of Miami. And it's become a better city. See, that's the problem. There's one common denominator. Government sucks. Politicians lie. All they know how to do is make their friends rich, give their friends jobs, and tax. And until you put people in office who are going to make your problems the focus of their attention, things aren't going to change. And go to the other part of your little thing about the MBTA and the promises they've made. More lies. They're still telling people in Florida how wonderful this place is. Yet, in your flush, you talked about how that they privatized, the company came in. There's all kinds of labor issues, people that they're going on strike. It's a mess. This company runs 16 of their rails, and they're a total disaster. And there are articles in the Boston Herald. And those articles you can find. But once you leave Boston and don't watch Boston TV and you come to La La Land, Wonderland, but instead of Alice, we got Paul, who may identify as Alice when he's in Wonderland. I don't know. But the fact is, this is the only place in the state that thinks this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Everybody knows it's a massive boondoggle. There are hundreds of billions of dollars in the hole. The place is a mess. The MBTA is an unmitigated disaster. They're trying to privatize most of it because they've tried to run it for 40 years and they can't. All they've succeeded in doing to the MBTA exactly what they do to Fall River and the state of Massachusetts. Run us into bankruptcy. Make us the most expensive state to rent or own a house in. We're ahead of California and New York now.
We're even ahead of Hawaii.
Yeah, this is what they do. So with that, CJ, great flush. You brought up a lot of points. If you haven't read his flush, read the weekend flush. I mean, but this only highlights how full of crap these people are. All they ever do is make these. Then they have the tour of the water department building. Oh, another palace we built. Brand new fleet of cars. I don't know how much money are these dealers giving Paulie. I never saw so many new cars in Fall River. Every department's got brand new cars. Brand new. Dodge Chargers, electric vehicles. All the departments got new vehicles. All brand new vehicles. We just pissing money all over the place. Buy another fleet of cars. Screw the taxpayer. Don't maintain them. Just buy them, let them turn to shit, and buy another fleet. We don't care. It's only their money. This is what they do. I mean, when I was on a job, I was driving around in a car in a fire department that had 100,000 miles on it. Our apparatus was all 20 years old. Now everything's brand new. You got people driving around in Dodge Chargers, EVs. Do we really have to have all brand new cars? Of course we do. Because one of their friends is making money. A lot of their friends are making money. And if you think this infuriates me, I didn't go down. I was asked if I went to the tour. So I don't want to see the building. Just like I didn't want to see Durfee. Because when Durfee was being talked about, and CJ and I were speaking out, not against education, but against that school, we said buildings do not educate children. And it's proven. Our educational system is worse now. We were 336th in one and 268th in another or something, and we went down from the previous year with the brand new building. I don't know, there's Paulie's idea. This is going to make the students smarter. Oh yeah, buildings always make people smarter. Just like a fancy building is going to make our water better. All it's going to do is spend our money. Now maybe now they can say, you see, there's your 23% increase hard at work. And with that, CJ, back to you.
What's very interesting about that is the fact that that new building was built, and Linda Pereira has made this very clear, without solar panels. They have solar panels on the Morton School building. But Paul Furlan's thing was, well, we need to negotiate this with National Grid. And Linda brought up a good point. Why is National Grid involved? Why? And you know what Paul Furlan's answer was? Well, they know all about solar energy. So in other words, National Grid is a free consultant, or are they charging? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I want to go back to a comment that was made, and Chip, you're going to be, I know you're pissed off about this, but Jeff made this comment. Good morning, guys. So what is your thoughts on the state reps voting against helping the homeless vets? Alan Sylvia, Paul Schmidt are both veterans. They both walk around on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, in their little uniforms, showing people that, yes, I'm an active vet. But guess what? When it comes to providing homes for homeless vets, the hell with you. That's exactly what they said. So remember that, veterans groups, War Council, AMVET, VFW, when you're considering these people in their membership, that they voted against homeless veterans. Homeless veterans. They voted against them. And they're veterans. But because they have homes and they have money, they don't count. Makes me pissed off. Pissed off to no end. I'm telling you now. Pissed off to no end.
Yeah, well, don't even get me started. Because you know how I feel about veterans. And there's not enough you can do for our veterans. And those two, I'm telling you, I am disgusted. They proved that they don't, you know, they're a disgrace to the uniform they wore. They did not support a bill to give priority to homeless vets over illegal aliens. I don't want to hear it. There's no excuse for that. You two disgraces to the uniform you wore. You should be thrown out of every veterans organization you're in. That has to be our number one priority. And I've said, I don't know how many times on this show, and you know, around some of the holidays that honor veterans, but I've always said, and remember about the monuments, I said, when they name, I don't like, you know, when they started naming schools after useless politicians that used to sponge meals at every function they gave, that politicians gave, walk in there and get a free meal, and they named schools after them and bridges after them and everything else. What did I say? I said, after you name every bridge, every street, every school, every building, every public building, after one of the millions of Americans who died for their nation, who were killed in the line of duty. Then when you get done naming everything after everybody who's died since the Revolutionary War through today, We can start on those who lost limbs and were catastrophically injured. And then we can name it after Medal of Honor winners. We have plenty of them. And for two people who wore a uniform in the United States to vote against, and there's no excuse. I don't want to hear it, Alan. You should be, if you have the audacity to walk in a veterans parade, you and Schmid should be booed right out of the parade. There is no reason. The number one priority in this country should be its veterans. Every man and woman who put up their hand and swore an oath not to death to America, but to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You put your hand up, and you've become a domestic enemy, a politician. You're frickin' disgraces, both of you. Look, I can't even talk. I'm so pissed off I can't even talk, CJ. Go ahead. I mean, just thinking about those two losers pissed me off. Now you know why I don't join these organizations.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean,
because they become political. Then you get some political ass kisser like this, who's going to march in every freaking veterans parade and pretend he gives a shit. Just like they march in front of every casket of every police officer or firefighter who's killed in the line of duty. Then they stick it up their ass when they're trying to get a pay raise.
Right.
So, these people make me sick. You know why I never ran for political office? It's because I don't want to be one of them. I don't want to be one of them. They're useless bastards. With that, back to you.
I don't know how you feel, Chip. I really don't know how you feel. Hey, this is what happens. I mean, even, our viewers are saying, and Jeff brought up something important. Paul Schmidt's out of office this year. He's not running for re-election. Alan is, and he's running uncontested. Again, why do people run uncontested? Because they don't want to get involved in the bull. They don't want to get involved in the bull. I know. I ran for office. And it's all bull. They come at you any way they can. And they make you out to be the bad guy all the time. Constantly. Even when you're saying you're going to do what's right, they get the propaganda out there that says that what you're going to do that's right is wrong. We haven't seen any of our elected officials that are in the State House do anything to save the taxpayer a dime. All they've done is spend. As a matter of fact, Cal Fiola is one of the biggest ones for earmarks that I've seen so far. Or maybe it's just because she advertises them all the time. Maybe if we started focusing on our needs and not our wants, we wouldn't be Massachusetts. We wouldn't be going after people's homes. So when you sell your home, you get hit with a surtax, a property transfer fee. Now, I was just reading today that the original plan for that was to only tax the amount of money over $1 million. They have $1 million set in their head. If you have income over $1 million, you're going to get a 4% surtax. And they made it constitutional. And you, the voter, voted for it. Because that money is going to go for transportation. And that money is going to go for education. But you forgot to realize that education money means more money comes out of the city of Fall River and other cities and towns as net school spending that they have to meet. Every extra dime that the school department gets from the state, the city has to meet. The town has to meet. And guess what? All that money just goes to hire more friends, not to service the children. Because if they were servicing the children, we wouldn't be where we are on the list of school systems in the state. We're trashing it. We're worse than we were last year. Can you believe that? We're worse than we were last year? That's a shame. That's truly a shame. This shows you how much they care. But again, remember, this is what Paul has. Because he was a vice principal. Never, ever could make principal. Don't ask me why. But he never could make principal. Isn't that lovely? That would have been wonderful if he had made principal. Imagine what the school system would have been like then. It just keeps getting worse and worse. And we can't make this stuff up. We honestly can't make it up. And this is how come we are in the situation we are in.
That's why we got to vote.
What was that?
We got to vote. Listen,
yeah, there's no question about it. We have to vote. No question about it.
Look, this country is so upside down now. Like I said, the veterans should get top priority. They serve their nation. They're homeless if they need something. And then after that, we have a whole bunch of other people who aren't veterans who have issues, drug issues and stuff. They let them live in the streets in squalor. We're sending $6 billion over to Ukraine and another $60 billion to them later on. We've got billions, hundreds of billions of dollars missing in Ukraine. We support the whole world. And we got these imbeciles on college campuses chanting death to America for a terrorist organization. And they're because they live in the oppressed and oppressor world. You're an oppressor. Well, we're not the oppressors. We're the oppressed. The American people are the oppressed, the real American people. The people who are now being forced out of their homes because they can't afford their rent. The people who are losing their houses. The people who are living paycheck to paycheck. 2/3 of this country. The people who can't afford to live anymore. The middle class is disappearing. This is what they want. The oppressors, the politicians and their rich friends want this to be a very simple world. The haves and the have-nots. They don't want a working person to have anything. They want to go back to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution where they chained children to the machines and had them working 14 hours a day. Then go back to their squalid apartments in the buildings that they owned to where they could collect their entire salary from them again, the paltry salary they got it back in rents and the stores because they owned everything. I've got the articles. We showed them on his show. Children going in a dump looking for things. I've got a book right over there. I'm staring at it right now. Labor's Untold Story. About a mule spinner from the city of Fall River who testified in the 1800s that they were living. He had 4 kids and a wife and stuff, and he lived on $125 a year. And he said, "How can you live?" He said, "Well, we really don't." He said, "We have to go down and steal wood. We have to go and clam in the Taunton River and live on that if we can get anything." And this is the world they wanted. This is the world they want to go back to. And they got these imbeciles that are paying $500,000 for an education to make them stupider to yell that we're the oppressors. I mean, this country is in deep trouble. We got an election. This truly is. It's not hyperbole anymore. When they say this is the most critical election I believe in the history of this country, because we will not have a country if this country remains the same after the next election. And then the election after that in Fall River, and it's mind-boggling to me, and I know you're a Republican once, it's mind-boggling to me, CJ, how the Republican Party is non-existent in these blue states. That these, like you said, a guy that doesn't even support veterans, and he's a vet, is running unopposed. I mean, you don't even challenge them. You don't even challenge them. Now, I know there was somebody going to run against Schmidt anyway, whether he ran or not, so he bailed out. And I know somebody is running against Carol Fiola, or at least I believe somebody's at least declared. But you can't just let them keep doing this. You know, and then they do it under the guise that, oh yeah, they're so wonderful. Oh, look what we're doing here. And all they do is exactly what you said, CJ, earmarks. They got these pork bills they pass where their friends get to build, you know, $100 million bridge to nowhere. And they get money for studying woodpeckers in Sri Lanka or some shit like that. Or buy all brand new cars for everybody in the city. Oh, don't forget about having it. In the old days when I was on a fire department, we drove older cars until they almost died, and then we turned them over to the Fire Prevention Bureau, and they had worse cars than us. Because they got the ones that had so much mileage on it that you had to worry about them breaking down every 5 minutes, so they had to drive those things. But now nobody cares. It's only your money. And they don't care about you. It's got nothing to do with anything except them getting rich and us getting poorer. This is all bullshit. And they prove it every day. They just throw salt in the wound all the time. 2 veterans go to Boston and vote against housing for housing vets. And they prioritize. People can't afford it. 1,100 people a month are leaving Massachusetts. I wonder why. But they're still giving tens of millions of dollars to illegals, while people in Massachusetts are living in a state it's the most expensive state to live in now. It was always up there, but now we've gotten the title. You think they care about you? And where are these people? Where are the Republicans, CJ? Maybe you can answer that. Where the hell are these people? I mean, the way this state is now, the way this country is now, you should see a tidal wave of conservative candidates coming forward to run for public office. I mean, now's the time. All you got to do is point to what they're doing. Just people see it, and they just think they can't do anything about it. And you know something? It's their fault. But we still got to give them somebody to run against these people. And I don't know how the hell these people run unopposed. I'm telling you. But I couldn't go to the State House. I'd be up for murder in about 2 hours into the first session. Back to you.
Yeah, I'm reading something, and I'm not sure if it's about Paul or someone else, because it doesn't sound like it's about Paul, because I don't ever remember Paul being part of the Boston Foundation. But it's interesting because the headline got me. Okay, Paul reflects on his career of civic transformation, ambition, and luck. So I knew it wasn't about Paul Coogan, right? Just by reading that. After all, he was nothing but a failed educator. So this is the way it is. And when I saw that they were writing a memoir, I said, no, definitely not about Paul. The stuff I get in my email sometimes just drives me crazy. But I'll tell you, we can do so much better in Fall River if people would take a part in their government, a part in what they want, a part in what they need. And this is what happens. You believe the bull promises. You actually grasp onto them. And that's expected with propaganda. With propaganda, you tell the people what they want to hear. Even though it may be a lie, you tell them what they want to hear. And then when they hear what they want to hear, they support it, even though they never get it. And when they don't get it in the first term, they'll go for a second. He's going to do it next time. If you don't get it, and this is very clear when we look at our state government. When we look at our city government. I remember in 1990s when the voters said we wanted term limits. And the League of Women Voters fought it in court and won. Because they didn't want to take their people out of office after 2 years. Or after 2 terms. And the judge turned around and said, well, you've got to elect people. Listen to this. This came from the judge. You need to elect people who will represent you and put this matter on the Constitutional Convention and put it on the ballot as a constitutional issue. Because you can't do it as a voter referendum. And again, how are you going to do that? These guys in Boston don't want to take themselves out of the game. They want to stay there. They're making money. They want to stay there. That's why in Fall River, we need to have our charter changed like the people requested of Mike Mioza to have term limits. But Mike wanted to protect his friends that were in office. Mike wanted to make sure that his friends in office stayed there for as long as they wanted to. People like Linda Pereira, Leo Pelletier, 20 plus, 30 plus years. Brad Kilby. These are all people that don't know anything outside of elected office. And they did it to build up their pensions. And the funny part about it is, our charter now says, and this is what it says, that elected officials, city councilors, school committee members, are not eligible for benefits. Yet they still pay into the retirement system. That's a benefit. That's a benefit. Why do they still pay into the retirement system? Because the city doesn't pay into Social Security. God forbid they were like Rhode Island and paid into Social Security. This way people could have both of them as a fallback position. But again, this is how it works. This is how it works. People need to know that.
Al was right. Now you got 1 billion miles on you. That's a lot of walking. Yeah, don't give them any ideas, please. They might start taxing us on that. The next thing is going to be an air tax. I don't know. They're going to tax us on the air we breathe. Linda was right what she said. These people are nothing more than they take care of their friends and they just don't care. I mean, it's a travesty to see what's happened to this nation overall and this city. It's incredible. We have a president of the United States that will not condemn or do anything about people chanting "Death to America" on college campuses. And half of them are professional rioters who are being paid to do this. They're agitators. And they get these people and radicalize them, and they don't know what they're talking. They don't know what river. They don't know what sea. They're just making noise, and they're chanting. It's amazing because that shows what imbeciles they are. You think if you chanted "Death to Iran" in the middle of Tehran, how long you would last? They would chop your head off. or saw it off with a rusty knife like they did to some Westerners not too long ago in front of a camera. Death to America. And some of these students are from out of this country in here on a student visa. They should be deported. But the President of the United States, just like Paul Coogan, just like our state reps, are only concerned with one thing: getting re-elected. They follow their money trail. Biden will not condemn this. They will not. These are far worse than the Vietnam War riots. The Vietnam War riots are about ending the war. This is about support of terrorist regimes. Nobody chanted death to America before. I mean, these people are in the United States and they're chanting things that are threatening the United States. And he won't say anything because he's afraid to lose Minnesota. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's got nothing to do with the good of the people, with providing domestic tranquility, which, by the way, is in the preamble to the Constitution, in case you've heard that before, because you have from me. Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. You know, all these things are in the preamble to the Constitution. But they don't do it, because all they give a shit about is their political power and getting reelected. The President of the United States will not, absolutely not condemn this. People disparaging his country, threatening his country, saying they want this country obliterated. This is what you get when you don't vote. They're all bums. But at least some of them would prioritize America. And while we have veterans that won't get housing, and we have people with mental issues not being treated, while we support the rest of the world, it's just wrong. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. It pains me. Yeah, that's true, Linda. Nothing. Listen, like I said, I don't like labels. I don't believe in conservative. I use the conservative thing because that normally indicates people who think a particular way politically, but that's not really true because everybody's conservative about what they have. Nobody wants to give up what they have. So you're a conservative. I'm not going to give you my shit. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. No, I don't want to do it. I don't agree with that. You're taking something away from me. But I'm liberal about what I want. Oh yeah, give me more money. And I'm moderate about what I don't care about. That's the reality. These politicians that call themselves progressives, liberals, liberal progressives, ultra-liberal progressives, are conservatives, too. Try to take something away from them. Call them the wrong pronoun. Try to take one of their programs or earmarks away from them and watch them go batshit crazy. So that makes them a conservative. Like I said, people just don't, I don't know how you can watch, it's hard to watch television now. It's hard to watch television and watch what the hell is going on in this country, and it's the people's fault. They just don't, how this rotting bag of oatmeal that can't walk, they have to surround him with his staff so that people can't see he's walking stiff-kneed. They're afraid he's going to fall up the stairs every time he goes up the stairs. It's like, can't read a sentence, can't even read a teleprompter. Now he's reading the directions. 4 more years. Pause. Oh, you're not supposed to say pause. I'm supposed to pause. That's right. Okay. I mean, this guy's incapable of probably remembering what day it is. And they're pretending he's running the country. And the election is close. That they have convinced nearly half this country to make this a viable election. Now I know a lot of people are saying that Robert Kennedy could have a chance because of the way the votes are split. Robert Kennedy could have a chance. That's why the Democrats are so worried about Robert Kennedy. They're actually was worried about him, or maybe even more worried than they are about Trump. And with that, CJ, back to you, because I think I'm burnt out.
They're so worried about Bob Kennedy that they got his own family out to speak against him. It's politics is a dirty business, and we know that. And we've been part of that dirty business for many, 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 many years. Sometimes too many years to even remember. But always remember something, okay? Always remember something. We are the people, and we say who's in that office. But that only happens when you vote. Because if you don't vote, you get what you get. And that's what happens. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day. It's going to be 70 degrees out there.